When you think of badminton, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably a lazy game at a family picnic, right? Just kind of gently tapping a shuttlecock back and forth in the backyard. Well, get ready because we are about to completely shatter that image. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of how that relaxed pastime became one of the most intense and powerful sports on the entire planet.
So let me just start with a simple question for you. If you had to take a guess, what would you say is the world's fastest racket sport? I bet most of you are thinking tennis, or maybe squash. And yeah, they're both incredibly fast, no doubt about it. But what if I told you the real answer is something you probably never even considered?
That's right. The fastest recorded hit in any racket sport belongs to badminton. It is a sport of just explosive power, lightning-fast reflexes, and unbelievable athleticism that, honestly, most people totally underestimate. So how in the world did this backyard game become a high-octane global phenomenon? Let's find out.
To really get how we got here, we've got to jump in the time machine and go way, way back. Because the basic idea of hitting a feathery thing back and forth, turns out that's not new at all. In fact, its roots are ancient, and they're spread all across the globe.
What's really wild is just how far back these origins go. I mean, we're talking evidence from over 2,000 years ago of shuttlecock games in Asia, where they were sometimes kicked with their feet. By the 1500s, a game called Hanetsuki was super popular in Japan. And fast forward to England, where battledore and shuttlecock became a popular kids game. The whole point was just to work together and see how long you could keep the shuttle from hitting the ground.
So, how does that little cooperative pastime morph into the competitive beast we know today? Well, the big transformation happened in the 19th century, thanks to some British military officers in India and one single game-changing addition: the net. Okay, so picture this. You've got these British officers stationed in an Indian town called Pune. They take the casual game of battledore and shuttlecock, but they make it competitive by stretching a net right across the middle. Suddenly, everything changes. It's not about cooperation anymore, it's about beating your opponent. And they called this new version Pune.
And this is the moment, the exact moment, the sport gets its identity. In 1873, those officers bring the game back home to England and show it off at a party at Badminton House, this grand estate owned by the Duke of Beaufort. The game was a total hit, and everyone started calling it the game of badminton. The name just stuck.
So, you've got a name, you've got a cool origin story. But it's not a real sport until you have a standardized set of rules, right? So the first club, the Bath Badminton Club, wrote down some rules in 1877. And by 1893, the Badminton Association of England was formed to make it all official.
All right, let's talk about the court. This isn't just some chalk lines in the grass. The modern court is a precise field of battle. It's a perfect rectangle, 13.4 meters by 6.1 meters, with a net that's exactly 1.524 meters high in the middle. Every single one of those lines is critical, defining where you can serve, where you can play. There's absolutely no room for error.
And of course, the scoring has changed a ton too. In 2006, the sports governing body brought in the rally point system. The big reason was to make matches faster, more exciting, and a better fit for TV. The crucial change? You no longer had to be serving to score. A point is won on every single rally, which means every shot is huge.
So here's how it works. It's pretty simple but super exciting. You play to 21 points. But, and this is key, you have to win by at least 2 points. So if the score gets to 20 all, you go into overtime basically, until someone gets that 2-point lead. Now there is a hard cap. If it gets to 29 all, it's sudden death. The very next point, the 30th point, wins the whole game.
Okay, now we're getting to the really mind-blowing part. Remember how we started this whole thing talking about speed? Well, this is how it happened. The evolution of the racket itself is what turned badminton from a gentle game of placement into a sport of just sheer, raw power.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. The first rackets were these heavy, clunky things made of wood with strings made from animal hide. Then, in the 1980s, carbon fiber came along and was a total game changer. Modern rackets, built with carbon fiber composites, are unbelievably lightweight, but they're also incredibly stiff and strong. This lets players swing with so much more speed and transfer way more power into the shuttle.
And what does all that fancy tech get you? It gets you this number. Are you ready for this? 421 kilometers per hour. That is over 260 miles per hour. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the speed a shuttlecock can come flying off the racket.
And that's not some theoretical number. That's a real official world record, set back in 2009 by a Malaysian player named Tan Boon Hiong. And to really put that in perspective for you, that speed is significantly faster than the fastest official tennis serve ever recorded. That's the kind of power we're talking about in modern badminton.
So, when you have a sport with that kind of insane speed and athleticism, it's really no surprise that it couldn't stay a secret in an English country house forever. It was destined to become a major international sport and earn its place on the biggest stage of them all.
The ultimate stamp of approval? That came in 1992. After a really successful run as a demonstration sport in Munich back in '72, badminton was officially added to the Olympic Games in Barcelona. That was a massive milestone, cementing its status as a premier global sport.
And if you just take a quick peek at the world rankings today, you can see how truly global this sport is. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely huge across Asia. You've got powerhouses like Malaysia, Chinese Taipei, Singapore, but the top players also come from Europe, with a country like Denmark consistently producing some of the best in the world.
You know, if you want one single fact that perfectly captures this global shift, it's this one right here. The Badminton World Federation, the BWF, was founded way back in 1934. But in 2005, its main headquarters moved from England all the way to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It was this huge symbolic move that really recognized Asia as the modern heartland of the sport.
So think about that journey for a second. From a game played with feet in ancient Asia, to Pune in India, to the game of badminton in a fancy English house, and now, finally, to a high-tech, high-speed Olympic spectacle. It's been an incredible ride, and it's not over. The BWF is still testing out new rules to keep the sport evolving. It really makes you wonder, what's next? What's the world's fastest racket sport going to look like in another 50 years?